probably going into an organisation to do some training, and you've got this nice smart board in this one room here, and I know that you haven't got smart boards at home to play on, and you haven't got smart boards at home to develop all the software and your lessons, which you ideally need to be able to do. So if this is your only smart board, and you only have access to the smart board training in this room, then it's really of no use to you at all, because you're not likely to be able to do your lesson preparation and so forth on that smart board, actually do something that's effective for your training. So the way around it is to download and get hold of the software for yourselves, and download it and use it on your machines that you've got access to on a day-to-day basis. And that's free, you can do that for free. So if you do that, it means that all the stuff I'm about to show you will be stuff that you can become familiar with on a daily basis. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So that's me, Adam Blackwood. I worked in further education college before I started this job many years ago. And in this session, we're going to be looking at these sorts of general features. So planning, a little introduction as to what I'm going to be doing, looking at the software, setting up, and then also to consider why you might want to use it and what's appropriate for you on here. But it's, as a resource, it's fantastic. There's lots and lots of stuff you can choose to do with it, and lots of free resources you can get hold of to use it really nicely. So, let's go to this one first. So what I would like you to do, because this is an interactive board and I'd like to interact with you a little bit, so I'd like you to choose an icon from the right hand side. And on this graph here, so if I say I'm a seahorse, my IT skills are reasonable, and my smartboard skills are probably sort of like mediocre. There. So I'd like you to come up here, insert, choose an icon, drag and drop on that graph. Brilliant. So so it's interesting to see where you're placing yourself. So some of you have got a little bit of familiarity with using the smart board. But the stuff that you can do here, you can do so on a desktop, and you can do it without having an interactive board. But the thing you can't do very easily is have this sort of classroom interaction where you get students coming up to and engaging with the board. And everything we do on this board, we can actually capture as evidence. So, if this was an exercise or an assessment in some way, and the students have written something on here, or they've moved their icons around to say how they're feeling about the course at the moment, you can save whatever you see on the screen. You can save and capture that. You can just click on the button and click on the camera button and save that as a picture for James. This is how James feels about the course at the moment. And later on, in 6 months' time, we can see how he feels again. We can do comparisons. And also for some students, coming up to the screen and interacting with it is a different way of engaging, and you'll find that it engages them in ways which they previously may not have thought about before. So it works for different types of learners, I think. But you've seen that when you've been grabbing hold of these little icons, it takes a while to become familiar with using these things. So you've got students who just drag something quickly, it doesn't work sometimes, or you have to use the right pressure on the screen to get it to work. And also you will have noticed sometimes you've got this little frame that appears around the object. So I'm going to talk about this frame now. Let's talk about that frame. So just so that you're familiar with what I'm doing, on this left-hand side I've got all my sort of lesson activities and different slides over here. So I'm going to go through to the frame to do with the smart screen. And this is a screenshot of the smart screen. I don't know why I wanted to do that, but you've got at the top here of the screen, we've got all of the icons that we can use for working with the screen itself. And on the left-hand side, let's get rid of this. Over here, we've got all of the content that I've got in today's lesson. And the further tabs on this very left-hand side are some extra content. And often when I go into places, people have only ever looked at this very first tab, this one up here. And actually, one of the most useful tabs as a teacher is to look at this second tab. And this is one, if you download the software for yourselves, this is where you should spend your time looking and browsing. Because in this section here, you'll find galleries for all the different subject areas and all the different resources. And I'll come to these later on in a moment, but you'll find stuff for all the different subject areas, interactive resources, and lots of activities that you can just drag and drop into lessons to create your own activities. So that second tab is the most important one for you to look at when you downloaded the software. Okay, so, buttons. So everything that we stick on the screen has these three little icons around it. So click on that, you can see a little green, a little drop down, and a kind of a grab button. The grab button just resizes. The drop down brings up a little context menu for this object, so it allows me to do all sorts of things with it. And the green is similar to the sort of little green icon you sometimes see in the clip art in Microsoft. It means you can just grab hold of the object and swivel it round. So you can resize it, rotate it, and then change what it does.